So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Here we back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Friday, February 11th. Hopefully everybody's having a day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is in fact Friday, February 11th here today, coming off another big night last night, a big day yesterday overall in the world of sports. We had the breaking news that James Harden got traded yesterday. We had, the Knicks staying pat and not making any moves. And then last night, on top of all the craziness, we had basketball. We had the Nets on. The Knicks were also on. New York basketball last night. For the Nets, they lost again. Kind of another tough loss for them. 10 straight. It's frustrating. And for the Knicks, they get a much-needed win. They get a very good win. They get a very, passionate, really good win. And a win that, sometimes, maybe this is the spark or something. And as a Knicks fan, you kind of got to think that way. I mean, I know it's kind of tough to think that way, but, if you're trying to be optimistic, you're like, okay, maybe this is something. We get a Trailblazers team coming up tomorrow that's not anything special, and maybe get something going. But I don't think it's going to happen, to be honest with you. But a very good win that last night for the Knicks, and whether you are happy about it, whether you're not happy about it, whether you think they stink, which I believe that, and I don't think they're not a good team at all. Wherever you stand on the Knicks, wherever you stand when it comes to the New York Knicks, it was a good win last night, and they played hard, they played well. Julius Randle played well. Got to give it to him. The last 4 games have been very good. You got to see if you can consistently keep that up. But a very good win last night for the New York Knicks on the road in Golden State against arguably one of the best teams in the league in the Warriors. Them and the Suns are kind of the debate right now, who is the best in the league, not just in the West, but in the league overall. Nets took a tough loss last night, 113-112. It's closer than what it really was. It was technically 113-110. Cam Thomas shot a last-second 3. It was a miss. Blake Griffin just tapped it in. So 113-112 on paper, but it wasn't like it was a 1-point game, and it was like we had a chance to win it. We had a chance to tie. Bad shot, just not a good look. I mean, Cam Thomas can't do anything about it. He played really well. With the time we had left, you had to take the shot. Wizards defended it well, and we lost. And we lose 10 straight. And I was talking to somebody this morning about this. Maybe this sounds dumb. Maybe this sounds very dumb, but right now the Nets are like an overtime shift that is desperately needing and waiting for the other shift to come in and relieve them. And the Nets right now, like I said, are the overtime shift right now that is waiting for the other shift to come in and relieve them in the morning. That's what it's like right now for the Brooklyn Nets. And I mean that by right now the Nets are desperately in need of this, they're desperately in need in getting healthy. And Ben Simmons and Seth Curry and Andre Drummond getting back out there as soon as they can, getting out there as soon as possible. And Kevin Durant getting back out there as soon as possible. So that's what the Nets are right now. This is a roster that's banged up. It's a roster that's hurting. It's a roster that right now is not good enough to win games. And right now, they're an overtime shift that desperately needs the other crew to come in and relieve them so they can start, getting back to their normal selves. Because right now, the Nets are a worn-down team, a team that right now is just not playing good enough, and they desperately need Kevin Durant to come back. They desperately need Ben Simmons, Andre Drummond, and Seth Curry to get in a net uniform and get playing as quick as possible. And hopefully we get that, hopefully we get that soon. And that's why we made the trade. So Nets took another tough loss. It's 10 straight. It's not good. I'm not happy. But at the same time, it's like, you kind of also got to look at it as we're getting help. We're getting assets. We're getting guys back. We made this trade for a reason. We'll see how it all plays out. So Nets lose last night. Knicks win. So not a terrible night for New York basketball. Frustrating for the Nets. Good win for the Knicks. Nets and Knicks both have a day off today. They'll be back on the road tomorrow. Knicks continue their West Coast trip tomorrow. They'll be in Portland against the Trailblazers. And the Nets continue their quick 2-game road trip. They'll wrap it up tomorrow night in Miami against the Heat. Islanders are also back in action tonight. They play against the Oilers. So an opportunity for them after a nice 6-3 win the other night against the Canucks. I believe it was 6-3 or 6-4 or something. I think it was 6-3. Good win for them. They continue their Canada road trip and their makeup of Canada games tonight against Edmonton, fresh off of them firing their head coach in Edmonton did. So we'll see how they respond, and we'll see what the Islanders can do on the road in Edmonton tonight. Both basketball teams off. Hockey team, like I said, Islanders playing, and the Rangers are still on the All-Star break. They'll be back in action February 15th at the Garden on Tuesday night. Alrighty, so it is Friday. It's a football Friday. I've done the entire week leading up to it. I've previewed this entire week. I've talked about it from Monday. It is now Friday. Week has flown by. We are already talking about the Super Bowl. The year has flown by. Season has flown by. This is the last Football Friday podcast of the 2021-2022 NFL season, and we're going to get to it. Super Bowl 56 preview. As I've mentioned all week long, I'm going to give you my keys to the game. I'm going to talk about what each team needs to do offensively and defensively in order to win. And at the end of it all, I'm going to give you my game pick, give you my score, give you the over-under, all of that good stuff at the end of it all. So be sure to hang around and watch it all. I'll give you the keys to the game, give you my preview, give you my kind of final thoughts as we head into the weekend, and then give you my game pick. That has been I've been waiting for a long time now to give this pick. I feel very good about this team that I'm gonna pick, and I'm definitely rooting hard for the team. So give you my pick all the way at the end, but I'll get coming up here. I'm gonna give you the keys of the game, give you all you need to know as we head into Sunday and head into the weekend. I'm gonna do the New York sports update. I decided I'm gonna make today a quick podcast. I'm gonna do a quick 30-minute video. I was gonna talk about the NFL honors, but I figured, you know what? Let's make it easy on a Friday, talk about the Super Bowl, head into the weekend with the keys of the game, head into the weekend with my game pick, and watch it all unfold on Sunday, and come in here on Monday and talk about what we witnessed on Sunday. So that's what I figured I'm going to do. Quick 30-minute video today. Going to give you the Super Bowl preview, game pick, keys of the game, all that, and then we'll wrap it up with the New York sports update like I just said. Nets Knicks day off. They'll be back in action tomorrow, and the Islanders are back in action tonight in Edmonton against the Oilers, who just fired their head coach, a day ago? So, kind of wildness as well going around the world of hockey. Alrighty, so a lot to get to here today on the podcast. With all that being said, it is the final Football Friday podcast of the season, and let's get right into it. Alrighty, so Super Bowl 56 is right around the corner. Sunday, February 13th is the big game, as they like to call it. You always hear sometimes on the betting shows they can't technically say the big game. They can't technically say the Super Bowl, so they all say the big game, and that is what it is. It is the big game. Sunday, February 13th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Rams come into this game 4-point favorites. The over/under is set at 48.5, and Bengals enter 4-point dogs. Rams are 4-point favorites at home. They are at SoFi Stadium. As we all know, Super Bowl is supposed to be held there. Last year was held at Raymond James. Buccaneers were home. This year it's Buccaneers that's their home stadium. As we all know, Buccaneers won it. This year it's SoFi Stadium and the home stadium of the Rams and the Chargers. Chargers obviously not in it this year, but the Rams are, and it is at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. And big game, very exciting. I'm super pumped up for it. So I've spent the whole week talking about it, and I love doing that. I always try to do that, or at least I start on Wednesday. So this year I did a little differently. I spent the whole week talking about it. I'm going to repeat myself because if there's any viewers that are just watching today, I did do my overviews for both teams, offensive and defenses, Monday through Thursday. So I know you'll be able to get it on the thumbnail and stuff, but on Monday I talked about the Bengals offense. Tuesday I talked about the Rams offense. Wednesday I did Rams defense, or Wednesday I did Bengals defense. Yesterday I did Rams defense. And today I'm going to give you the keys to the game and the game pick. So as I said, I'm going to take all the stats, put them all together. I got them all here on the table. I got all my note cards. Bengals offensive rankings up top, Rams offensive rankings on the bottom, in the middle, Bengals defensive rankings here, and then Rams defensive rankings, concluding it as I did that yesterday. That was the last one. So I got all my numbers here. I said I'm going to put them all together. I'm going to read some of them to you guys. As you all know, I usually do this on Thursday Night Football. I do keys of the game. So I'll give you keys of the game for the offense and the defense for both teams. So I'm going to give you the keys of the game for the Bengals offense and defense, and the keys of the game to the Rams offense and defense, what each team needs to do in order to come out victorious on both sides of the football. Alright, so with all that being said, I want to have a good, 15, 20 minutes of time to talk about this and get to the keys of the game. So, with all that being said, let's get to the Super Bowl 56 keys to the game. I got them written down here. I'm going to read them to you and give you all you need to know. Alright, so we're going to start off with the Bengals offensive key to the game. We're going to start off with the Bengals. I've started off with the Bengals all week long. And I've always done it just AFC team. I've always just started off with the AFC team whenever I do anything. So I'm just going to start off with the Bengals here. Give you the offensive key, defensive key. Then we'll go to the Rams. Give you the offense and the defensive key. Alrighty, so here we go. Bengals offensive key to the game. And I apologize if some of these kind of sound boring. If some of these kind of sound like, oh yeah, that's obviously what they need to do. But that's how I do my keys to the game. I don't think of any crazy key to think about, like, oh, this guy needs to have over 100 yards, or oh, they need to incorporate this guy. I've always kind of based my keys to the game off of what they've done well this season, what has helped them win, and ultimately what they've done this season when they've won games. So that's how I base off my keys to the game. So some of these might sound very basic, but it's how I did it. It is what it is. Anyway, here we go. Bengals offensive key to the game: protect Joe Burrow. That is my Bengals offense key to the game. And look, like I said, this might sound very basic. This might sound very, oh, of course, that's obvious. But it's the truth. And this is the reality of it. And this is the reality of the Bengals, and this is the reality of if they want to win this game against a pass rush, against a defensive front like the Rams, that are in the postseason. They're 9th overall. In the postseason, they are 2nd overall in total defense, 3rd overall in passing, and 1st in rushing defense. So in the postseason, they are a top 3 defense in the league. In the postseason, they are the best rushing defense. They have a great defensive front. They get to the quarterback. They force pressure. And the Bengals have one of the worst offense lines, not only just in the postseason they had, but in the league. Joe Burrow this season, a regular season, was the 2nd most sacked quarterback. So, and we saw him against the Titans, right? He got sacked 9 times. It was ugly. It wasn't pretty. And they were able to find a way to win. But that's thanks to their defense stepping up and a Titans offense that wasn't as high powered. And I'm gonna give you a blunt assessment. If the Bengals want to win this game, they need to protect Joe Burrow. Because when the Bengals win games, when they succeed and when they get the ball to Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow's protected. Joe Burrow has time. He gets the ball, makes good throws, makes smart decisions. When he doesn't have time, when he's getting sacked, he's not able to get the ball to Chase. He's not able to get the ball to that core 3 of receivers, Chase, Higgins, and Boyd, as we all know. Uzama, I'm not too sure what's going to all go on with him. But if he does play, that's another weapon, too, you add there. And that's when he's protected. If you don't protect Joe Burrow, he's going to get sacked. He's going to get sacked. He's going to get sacked. You're not going to be able to run the ball. You're not going to be able to pass. It's going to be a long game. And unlike the Titans game where you could say, okay, the defense could stop them. No, the Rams offense is much more elite than the Titans offense. So if Joe Burrow gets sacked 7-8 times this game and they're not able to score and they're not able to drive and they're not able to get first downs and they're not able to get anything consistent going, it's going to be a long day for the Bengals. So it starts up front. It starts in the trenches. If the Bengals want to win, if the Bengals want to have success and get the ball to their weapons, they need to protect Joe Burrow. They need to keep him upright. He can't be knocked all over every other play. Because if that's the case, it's going to be a really long 60 minutes of football for the Cincinnati Bengals. So their key to the game, they need to keep Joe Burrow upright. Their offense has so much potential. 13th overall in the league, 7th in passing. Joe Burrow this season, 4,611 passing yards. That's good for almost 300 a game. And in the postseason, too, almost averaging 300 passing yards a game as well. When he's protected, when he has time, he gets the ball to Jamar Chase, the Rookie of the Year. Comeback Player of the Year, Joe Burrow. Rookie of the Year on offense, Jamar Chase. Them two, when they're working, is huge. And the only way they work is if you protect Joe Burrow and you keep him upright. Offensive key to the game for the Cincinnati Bengals. Protect Joe Burrow. It is very, very important. That's my Bengals offensive key to the game. Bengals defensive key to the game is you got to force pressure on Matt Stafford and you got to find a way to contain Cooper Kupp. And I know that might sound that's not going to happen. But you need to force pressure on Stafford. Because for a defensive front this season, like I said, this defense is solid. Like the Bengals defense is solid. It's nothing special. It's nothing crazy. But it's a solid defense. Overall, they're 18th, passing they're 26th, and rushing they're 5th. And in the postseason, like I said, I think the Bengals defense is one of those defenses, one of those things where the eye test shows you a lot of good things, and when you look at the numbers, it's not so good. And I keep going back to playing up to their potential. When the Bengals defense plays up to their ability, plays up to their potential, they can be as dominant as they were against the Chiefs in the second half, where they completely shut down Patrick Mahomes, where they completely took Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce completely out of the equation. You know how hard that's you know how hard that is to do? You know how hard it is to keep Mahomes to 3 points in an entire half, let alone 3 points in an entire quarter? Patrick Mahomes is scoring and throwing touchdowns all over the place. They were able to contain Tyreek Hill. They were able to contain Travis Kelce. And that's the lasting mark on this Bengals defense. And that same stuff, whatever they did in the second half against the Chiefs, they need to do the entire 60 minutes against the Rams. Because if you don't force pressure on Stafford, we've seen what he can do. When he has all the time in the world, he gets it to Cooper Kupp, and Cooper Kupp gets a ton of yards, run after catch, breaks tackles, gets scores. He was the offensive player. I mean, come on. It's Cooper Kupp. It's a guy who's second all-time in receiving yards in a single season. 1,947, only behind Calvin Johnson's record of 1,964. Second most receiving yards all-time in a single season. That's how good Cooper Kupp has been. And when the Rams get Cooper Kupp the ball, they win games, and they win them big. So you need to get pressure on Stafford. And on top of that, forcing pressure on Stafford will allow you to automatically contain Cooper Kupp. You're not going to need to run any special crazy coverage on Cooper Kupp. If you force pressure on Stafford, he's not going to have time to give it to Kupp. He's not going to be able to make that smart throw. He's not going to have time to go through all of his reads and see Kupp downfield wide open. So you got to force pressure. Get pressure on Stafford, hit him early, knock him down, get him a little rattled, and then you start, then all of a sudden, now they start to kind of, then they start to get a little anxious, and that all, I don't think people realize how big it is when you get pressure on a quarterback, how much that can change a game. Because then the offense starts to get rattled, quarterback starts to get anxious, offense starts to get that kind of nervous energy of we gotta, kind of get in a little bit of a panic mode. You saw Tom Brady, the greatest of all time. When you hit him, he did not play well. That's the reality. He even got rattled. The offense starts to get rattled. It's like, what's going on here? You're kind of in shock. It's like everything that was working in the entire season is not all of a sudden working. So just in that, just that in itself, I don't care what quarterback you are. I don't care how good you are. You get pressure. You start getting hands in your face. You start getting guys knocking you over and maybe trash talking a little bit. It's going to rattle you. So the Bengals need to do that. And whatever they did in the second half against the Chiefs, they need to do the same for the full game against the Rams. That is, get pressure on Stafford and find a way. You don't have to completely shut him down. That'd be great. But find a way to contain Cooper Kupp. Because removing Cooper Kupp is like, I'm trying to think of I don't know. I can't think of an example of what removing Cooper Kupp would do to this team. You remove Cooper Kupp, you completely shut him down. This is a completely different football team. So get pressure on Stafford, and that pressure will automatically lead to Cooper Kupp being more contained and Stafford not having as much time to get the ball out to not just Cooper Kupp, but Odell Beckham, Tyler Higbee, Van Jefferson, all those guys. So get pressure on Stafford and contain Cooper Kupp are your Bengals defensive keys. So your Bengals keys of the game are offense, it's protect Joe Burrow. Number one, have to. You got to protect Joe Burrow. I don't care what anybody says about, he can run out of pocket. No, you got to protect Joe Burrow. And number two, you got to get pressure on Stafford. Because when Stafford has time and Cooper Kupp has time, it's going to be a long day for the secondary. So you got to get pressure on Stafford. And pressure on Stafford will automatically lead to Cooper Kupp having a little bit of a lower game, not as good as a game for his standards. And that all, relates back to containing Cooper Kupp. So those are your Bengals keys to the game for offense and defense. All right, so let's get to the Rams keys of the game now. Rams offensive key to the game is get the ball to Cooper Kupp. And like I said, these might sound crazy, but look at the games that Cooper Kupp, and this is why they've won a lot this season. The games that Cooper Kupp, I've always went back to this one game against the Niners. They didn't give Cooper Kupp the ball much. They were feeding it to OBJ a lot. They were getting it to Tyler Higbee a lot. They weren't giving the ball to Kupp. And they lost that game. It was against the Niners in the regular season. It was like 31-10 or something. It was that one shocking game. And I always go back to that game as that was a game that they could have won if they decided to throw the ball to Cooper Kupp. And this might sound very basic and might sound very stupid, but it's the key to the game because it's been working all year. When the Rams give the ball to Kupp, and when Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp are on the same page, they win a lot. And they've been on the same page a lot this season, and that's why they're in a Super Bowl. Because they've won a lot. They've won all 3 of their postseason games so far. And they've won all 3 of them, pretty convincing. The first one was convincing. Second one, other than the late comeback by the Bucs. Third one was really close. They had to come back, 10 points in the fourth quarter and all that stuff. But you got to get the ball to Cooper Kupp. Because I'll tell you what, you got a very good offense line. And it's going to be tough, like I said, for the Bengals to force pressure. So if you give Stafford time, not many corners out there, not many players out there, not many teams out there. I don't care how big of a name you are. I don't care what your regular season resume looks like. Cooper Kupp's almost impossible to stop. So if you're able to get the ball to Cooper Kupp like you have all season long, and you're able to really early on, get it to him, get him some big chunks, get him some first downs, build up the confidence. Line have some good blocks early on. Got to get the ball to Kupp. If the Rams want to win this game, Cooper Kupp needs to be involved. He absolutely needs to. You see him, he was the leading receiver in yards in the regular season, not just overall for the team, but in the league. And so far in the postseason, he's almost at 400 yards in 3 games. That's up there in an average of 128.7 per game. So that in itself should tell you a lot about what Cooper Kupp has done to this team. So Stafford, not only does the line have to protect him, because I could see the Bengals sending in some blitzes early on to send a message maybe, to send a little bit of a message like, hey, you're not going to have all the time in the world to throw the ball. So you got to protect, when Stafford's got time, you got to get the ball to Kupp. And you still got Beckham and Van Jefferson and all that, great. And if Kupp starts to get covered, then you go to those guys. You absolutely need to get the ball to Kupp. It can't be one of these things where you start kind of being a little too cute and you pass it to all these different receivers and you try to get each guy involved. No. If it means throw the ball to Cooper Kupp 15 times this game, do it. If that's what's going to make you win, then you got to do that. Get the ball to Cooper Kupp. When they win games, Cooper Kupp has big games. That's the reality. Rams' offensive key is feed Cooper Kupp. And the Rams' defensive key to the game, to wrap this up here, is force pressure on Joe Burrow. You force pressure on Joe Burrow, it's going to be a long day for the Bengals. That's the reality. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You get pressure on Burrow, you start to get him, get him a little nervous, get them a little anxious, start to get him, maybe force him into mistakes, get him a little rattled, right? First Super Bowl, second year, comeback player of the season, all the hype. He's going to have nerves. If you start getting to him early, and I should probably add to this because I don't have it down here, but I should probably add, get pressure on him early. And I don't want to see pressure, if the Rams want to win this game, you can't all of a sudden get pressure on him in the fourth quarter. Get pressure on him early. Get some, get him rattled early. That's what the Rams need to do. Specifically, force pressure on Burrow overall. But if you can, if it's possible, if you're able to, you got to get him early. Because if you get him rattled early, the last thing you need for a team is to have your young quarterback in his second year rattled in the biggest game of the season. Maybe going out there for a second or third drive. If we're going into the second quarter and Burrow's already been sacked 3 times and Chase maybe has a catch for 5 yards and Burrow's maybe 2 for 7 completion or something, that's what the Rams need to do, is something like that. Because you need to get to him, you need to get him rattled, and you need to get him rattled early. Because the last thing you need if you're the Rams is to get him into a rhythm. And no matter, at that point, it doesn't matter if he gets sacked. Because he's in a rhythm. He'll be already throwing it to Chase. They'll probably already have built some cushion and probably already scored a lot. So you got to get to Burrow and specifically get to him early. And they definitely can. It's all a matter of just getting through this defensive line. And we've seen what they've been able to do in the postseason. Second overall, only behind the Packers, who played 1 game. Third in passing and first in rushing. So even if they try to run the ball, You can completely eliminate the Bengals by not letting them pass because the run game's not great, and you see how good the Rams defense can be. Rushing is number one in the league, and overall, in the postseason, overall, in the regular season, was sixth. So, you got to get pressure on Burrow and specifically get to him early. Get him rattled. That's what they need to do. So, your Rams offensive keys are feed Cooper Kupp, and Rams defensive keys is force pressure on Joe Burrow. And then the Bengals was protect Joe Burrow on offense, and defense was force pressure on Stafford and really try to contain Cooper Kupp because you can't let him have an explosive game because the Rams are going to go his way. That game plan, that offense runs through Cooper Kupp. That's the reality of it all. All right, so that's my Super Bowl 56 keys to the game. Perfect timing. Wanted about a couple minutes here to give you my closing thoughts on the game pick. Crazy how quick the season go. This is my last game pick of the 2021-2022 season. It's wild I'm saying this. I felt like it was just Thursday Night Football where I was talking about the Cowboys-Buccaneers getting the season going. And all of us possibly talking about was that a preview for the NFC Championship game. Clearly it wasn't. Cowboys lost in the wild card and, Bucs lost to the Rams in the NFC divisional round. But it's crazy how quick the season go. So before I give you my game pick, just going to give you a quick update on what the my game picks record is. So overall in the season, I'm 180 and 104. In the postseason, I am 9 and 3. So through the 12 postseason games, or I apologize. Yeah, 9 and 3. Through the 12 postseason games that we have seen so far, I am 9 and 3, and we'll have our 13th game Sunday, Bengals Rams. So 180 and 104 on this overall in the season, and in the postseason, I am 9 and 3. Alrighty, so let's get to the game pick. This is the moment I've been waiting for ever since the matchup was capped off after the Niners walked off the field, not victorious against the Rams at SoFi. I've been waiting to make this pick. Just to give you quick numbers, like I said, both teams obviously come into this 3-0 in the postseason. Rams had a regular season record of 12-5. Bengals had a regular season record of 10-7. Just to give you, reminder, remember, these two teams, how they've got here, they had to go through the wild card round. Bengals had the home wild card game. Rams had a home wild card game. Both teams were on the road for the divisional. Bengals were in Tennessee. Rams were in Tampa Bay. Both won that. Bengals were on the road for Kansas City. Rams were at home for the NFC Championship game against the Niners. And they all meet here. They all meet in Inglewood, California, SoFi Stadium, the home of the Rams. So back-to-back years where we've had the home team, also the host of the Super Bowl. Rams come into this game 4-point favorites. The Bengals are the underdogs. They're obviously the 4-point underdogs. The over-under is set at 48.5. Comes on 6:30 p.m. Eastern, Sunday, February 13th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Yes, Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, and the whole NBC crew got the Super Bowl this season, although you'll have pregame shows from all over, probably starting around, they usually start 9-ish, and they'll go all day, and you'll have the Super Bowl at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. And look, here's my game pick, all right? You know how I felt about this team all year. I jumped on the team's bandwagon during the wild card round. I know I did all, and I'm kind of just backtrack. I know I did all these numbers, and I usually base my pick off of numbers. I really do. I usually base my picks off of numbers and off of how good teams are in each category. Sometimes I go with what my gut tells me or who I'm rooting for. Last year, I was rooting for the Chiefs, and I legitimately thought the Chiefs were going to win. And the numbers showed it too. Chiefs were excellent last season yet again. So I went with the Chiefs last year. I usually try to root for, I sometimes pick the teams that I'm rooting for. But the numbers, when you put all the numbers together, this Super Bowl is kind of a little bit of a, it's even in some ways, but there's definitely some ways where it's a little lopsided. And I feel like this game has definitely the potential of possibly maybe a one-sided game one way or the other. I hope and I'm optimistic that it's going to be a good game. When you look at the numbers, yes, there are some things that are kind of eye-opening in terms of how good each team is at certain things, but they all kind of even itself out. And that's why I wanted to do this. Like, when you look at the numbers, the numbers aren't crazy in terms of overall. Like, just to give you an example, the Bengals are 18th overall in defense in the regular season. Rams were 17th. So it's not like there's a major drop-off there. You even go to, like, the offense. Rams in the season was 9th overall in the regular season on offense. Bengals were 13th. And the Bengals were only 2 behind the Rams, 7th in passing. Rams were 5th. So, and the Bengals had better rushing than the Rams did. So, kind of when you look at the numbers, although the eye test might not show it, kind of looking at the numbers, this is a pretty even Super Bowl. This is a Super Bowl where definitely there's that kind of chance of maybe one team exploding and having an insane game and blowing out the other team. But there's also a good chance that it's a really close game and it comes down to a kick, a field goal, a game-winning drive, a first down, something like that. A big stop on 4th down. That's what this game could come down to. And look, here's my pick. I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals, all right? You look at all the numbers, some of them line up, some of them don't. Some of them are in favor of the Bengals, some of them aren't. And I've said this since the wildcard round. I've been pulling for the Bengals since the wildcard round. I've stuck to my word. I said it against the Raiders. And I'm not trying to, boost myself up here because this isn't about me. This is about the Bengals and the Rams, and this is about the great story of the Cincinnati Bengals. But I've said this for the longest time now. Said it's in the wildcard round. I had the Bengals. I said it. Bengals are going all the way. And I had that feeling with this team. I had this feeling that this team just can't be stopped. And I've always said this. When I jump on a team for like the postseason or when I believe in a team, I'm not going to jump off of it. So I was with the Bengals from the wild card. I was with the Bengals from the start of the wild card round, and I'm definitely not jumping off them now. I got the Bengals winning. And kind of just to give you a couple reasons, not even just football-wise, but I think the story's great. I'm rooting hard for the Bengals. I really am. This might be the hardest I've rooted for a team other than my Jets in a long time. In terms of this is really a feel-good story. This is really a story where many fan bases can kind of come together as one and have that same feeling of what the Bengals are feeling right now. Their fan base never winning a Super Bowl before, haven't won a playoff game in 31 years. They got so close with Boomer Esiason and Ickey Woods, and they weren't able to close it out. Now you have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and the underdogs and a team who last season won 4 games. In the last 2 years total, they've won 6 in the last 2 years. For a 4-win team to go to a 10-win team, have to go on the road for the divisional round, have to go on the road at Arrowhead Stadium and beat the Chiefs. And now, technically, again, got to go on the road because the Rams are playing in their home stadium at SoFi Stadium. The story's great. The story's awesome. It's a feel-good story. It's Joe Burrow. It's a second-year quarterback who tore his ACL in his first season. It's a team who won 66 games in the past 2 years. And for all the suffering fan bases out there, this is what good football, this is what a feel-good story and what a team who has gotten it wrong for so many years, now that they finally got it right, this is what it looks like. And I am urging a lot of the NFL fans out there, obviously unless if you're a Rams fan, because you're going to root for your team. You're going to root for your team. But all the other NFL fans who don't have a dog in this fight, that pretty much the rest of the NFL, all 30 of the rest of the fans in the NFL who don't have a dog in this fight, even if you're a Chiefs, I guess if you're a Chiefs fan, you probably might be pulling for the Rams because they knocked you out, and I see that. But I'm taking the Bengals, and I'm very, very excited to see what this Bengals team can do in the Super Bowl. I've been pulling for them the entire postseason. I've had this feeling about this team for the entire postseason, and I still have this feeling that this team's going to pull off something magical. Whether it's just winning the Super Bowl or whether it's something magical during the Super Bowl. This team has something in it that's this team's special. It really is. And I'm taking the Bengals, taking Cincinnati, Who Dey Nation. Give me the Bengals, 31-28. I'm going to go out on a limb. Evan McPherson field goal to win the Super Bowl. Bengals. Give me the Bengals and Joe Burrow and the city of Cincinnati. Give me the Bengals. 31-28. Bengals win. I'll take the over on the over-under of 48.5. Give me the Bengals plus the 4 points. Bengals win. And that is my Super Bowl 56 game pick. I am pulling very, very hard for the Bengals. I think it's a great story. And I think it's a story that so many NFL fans can get that feeling of what it's like. I mean, this is what it's like. Like, for a fan base, and that's another thing, too. And I don't want to say anything against the Rams fan base, but that's another thing, too. Like, when you look at the fan bases, you got a fan base in Cincinnati that has suffered for so long, seen so much bad football for so long. Now they finally got here. And for a Rams fan base that left St. Louis, they don't got much of a fan base in LA. I don't know how many fans in St. Louis still root for the team. It's like the story for, I know there is some stuff with the Rams too, with Stafford. And I know that's a cool story. But other than that, the Rams built a super team. This Bengals team is a true homegrown, through all the tough years, through all the losing, they finally have gotten it right. It's such a great story. And I'm taking the Bengals, and I'm pulling very hard for the Cincinnati Bengals, rooting for them very hard. Give me the Bengals and Joe Burrow leading Cincinnati to a Super Bowl championship for the first time ever in franchise history. And that is my entire week of Super Bowl 56 preview and my entire week of Super Bowl talk, Super Bowl 56 preview. And on Monday, we'll recap all the craziness that goes on Sunday. Alrighty, so now let's get to the New York sports update and the rest of, the world of sports and finish off this week full of podcasts. Today we got the Cavaliers, Pacers. I'll take the Cavs to win. Hornets, Pistons. Give me the Hornets. 76ers, Thunder. Give me the 76ers. Celtics, Nuggets. Give me the Celtics. Hawks, Spurs. Give me the Hawks. Bulls, Timberwolves. Give me the Bulls. Jazz, Magic. Give me the Jazz. Got one top 25 game tonight in the world of college basketball. Xavier, UConn. I'll give Xavier the win. And for the NHL, got 4 games on tonight. We got the Stars, Jets. I'll give the Stars the win. Islanders back in action tonight against the Oilers. I'll take the Oilers. Lightning, Coyotes. Give me the Lightning. And Kraken, Ducks. I'll take the Ducks. And as for fantasy basketball, kind of funny. I don't know I have not renamed my team yet. Still trying to figure that out. I'm currently winning 584 to 525. Today I've got going Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Buddy Hield, John Collins, Nikola Jokic, Kelly Oubre, Miles Bridges, and Tyrese Maxey. Garland is listed as out. Garland back is unavailable for Friday's game at Indiana. So that's the latest report on him. Maxey's day-to-day. Maxey is questionable for Friday's game against the Thunder due to some hamstring soreness. So we'll see how that all goes there in Philly and with the brand new trade there. By the way, numbers got released for the Nets. New numbers. So Andre Drummond's going to wear number 4. Seth Curry's going to wear number 30. And Ben Simmons is going to wear number 10. So those are your new addition numbers. I believe Drummond is the same. It's bad I don't know this. I believe Drummond... no. Drummond was... Drummond's always been low. And maybe this is why. Drummond has worn... Okay, this is probably why. So Drummond has worn... He wore 1 with the Sixers this season. He was 0 with the Pistons. I'll go in order. So he was 0 with the Pistons. He was 1 with the Sixers this year. He was 2 with the Lakers last season. He was 2 with the Lakers last season, and he was 3 with the Cavs also last season. And now he's number 4 on the Nets. So he's just going with all of the low numbers. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe it's not the reason. But now he's number 4. So Drummond's number 4. Seth Curry's number 30. He wore 31 with the Sixers. So he's number 30 now. I believe he wore 30 at all the other spots he was in. I know he wore 30 with the Mavericks. But now he wore 31 with the Sixers. So now he's 30 again with the Nets. And then Ben Simmons, who always wore number 25 on the Sixers, is now 10. So those are your new numbers. Nobody taking 13. Kind of funny. Nobody taking over Harden's old number. So those are your for whatever, if any of you are interested, those are your the new members of the Nets, their numbers. So Drummond's 4, Curry's 30, and Ben Simmons is 10. Anyway, that'll do it. Another good week of podcasts in the books. A lot of Super Bowl coverage. Always enjoy Super Bowl week. Always great. It was a lot of fun talking about it all. It all started on Monday and, finishes all off today. So it was a lot of fun. And yeah, everybody, enjoy your weekend. Have a very, very good weekend. Kentucky, Florida tomorrow as well. A ton of basketball and hockey and college basketball and all that stuff on tomorrow. And then Sunday is the big day. Enjoy the Super Bowl, whatever you're doing, whether it's, hanging low, going out, eat, enjoy all the food that's involved, because that's always great, not just the game itself, but the food as well. And yeah, hopefully we get a really good game. Go Bengals. And yeah, enjoy the game, enjoy the Super Bowl, enjoy the weekend. And as you all know, take breaks on the weekend. So I will see you all on the flip side. See you all back here on Monday. As always, hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.